There we go. All right, let's make sure we live here. Boom. We are live. Welcome back to another edition of Jen's Sports Corner. Back at you for Fight Night 11/6/2021. It's going down. Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant for all the marbles. Undisputed championship bout tonight at 168. All four belts, WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF, which is currently, the IBF is held by Caleb Plant. This will be the first undisputed champion in history at 168. Whoever comes out with a dub here. If it's Plant, he'll be the first undisputed for himself. If it's Canelo, he'll be the first undisputed champ at 168 and the first undisputed Mexican champ, I think, period, in history, as well as at 168. He'll be setting precedent. So, hey, big night for both. I told you guys I'd be giving you guys a breakdown video and a prediction video, and here I am. So let's get to it. Let's do this. So, very interesting bout here. Canelo came up to 168, I think, a year and a half ago. He fought Sergey Kovalev in the fight prior to that at light heavyweight. And then he came down to 168 and fought Callum Smith and got two of the belts. He got two of the belts from Callum Smith in his first fight at 168. And then his next fight at 168, recently, he got the third belt from Billy Joe Saunders, and what was a very good fight. Billy Joe Saunders had a great game plan, came in there, boxed well, but at the end of the day, Canelo was able to be patient, kind of set up a good shot, and got him out of there. Was able to stop him. So great win by him. He has three belts, and Caleb Plant, the last one, at 168. And not only is Canelo getting the opportunity of a lifetime, but Caleb Plant is getting the opportunity of a lifetime. He wasn't even thinking about Canelo Alvarez 2 years ago, or even a year and a half ago. Then all of a sudden, boom, Canelo Alvarez shows up on the scene and wins two belts, and then gets a third. And then, boom, big fight. Biggest fight of his career, to be honest. And there's a lot to break down here. So looking at both guys, you have Canelo Alvarez, 5'8.5" on a good day, 70-inch reach, a very long track record, really nice resume. Had the big win over Callum Smith about a year and a half ago, and then had a big win, I think, about a half a year ago over Billy Joe Saunders, who they were supposed to meet up at 160, and Billy Joe, it never happened. So they met up at 168, and it finally happened, and he got a big win over Billy Joe. So that was a big win. And he had the big fights against, obviously, Mayweather when he was younger. He was green, but it made him sharper. He had the big back-to-back matchup against Triple G. The first fight, it was a draw on the scorecards, but Triple G won that fight. The majority opinion is visibly clear that most people thought he won that fight, including me. The second fight, I thought it was a draw. I thought he fought a lot better. He got the win. I didn't think he deserved it, but he fought very well. And those fights prepared him to move forward in his next fights, jumping up in weight, going up against tougher opponents, guys that were bigger than him, longer reach. And it made him prepare for that. I think the Triple G fights in particular got him ready for that. Because Triple G hits like a freight train, very active, very precise, just stays on you, doesn't give you a chance to rest. And Canelo, his big issue before, point number one, he always had stamina issues. People always knew, at least boxing heads, knew that Canelo was a 6-round fighter. He would fight in spurts, and then he would fade in rounds. That's what happened to him in the Triple G fight the first time around. And then, the whole PED scandal came up, and the drug that he was allegedly found guilty for taking was clenbuterol, which is a beta agonist. I actually work with beta agonists, not that one in particular, but I'm very familiar with them. I work on respiratory disorders, and clenbuterol is a drug that helps facilitate increased oxygen intake. It's a airway smooth muscle relaxer. It relaxes the smooth muscle around the airway. Thus, you will have a higher inflow of oxygen because there's a wider diameter of the airways, and that's going to help you with stamina, like running, with increased punching output when you're shadow boxing on the mitts and blah blah blah. So, anyways, he came into the second fight much more prepared, and he still took rounds off. He still took too much time off, in my opinion, but he was much better with it, much more economical. He's been better moving forward with that. It has become less of an Achilles heel for him. So with that not being as much of a factor, I mean, Canelo is really in that pantheon of damn near a complete fighter. Now, the only thing I will say is if I'm Caleb Plant's trainer, and the advice that I might have gotten from Andre Ward when he was talking to Caleb was watch his feet. Look at his feet. His feet have gotten a lot better, but his feet are still not elite level in terms of like foot quickness. Before, Canelo looked like he was moving in quicksand. Hands were fast as lightning, but his feet were very slow, and that was an Achilles heel for him. He's a lot better with it, but that's something that is above average but not elite that I would be looking to try to find openings with if I were Caleb Plant. That being said, Canelo, great combinations, underrated speed, and he's a really good thinker. He's gotten so much better with his defense over the years. He's so slick now. The head movement is crazy. You can see all the little bits and pieces and nuances that he's taken from his experience fighting Mayweather, and you can kind of see him with the shoulder roll, moving out of the way of punches. Like, you don't tell me the last Mexican fighter you've seen with a Mexican style, but also like that Philly shell defense, like that slick head movement and whatnot. Yeah, he's a very unique fighter. He was already a great fighter, or a great up and coming fighter from his younger years. I mean, he started when he was 15, but he's gotten even better. I think he still has even more areas where he can improve on. He's getting that good. So I think that the the combinations, the patience, the head movement, and the defense, those are the things that I don't know if Caleb Plant has been in the ring with somebody of that caliber. That's the question you have to ask. Now I'll start with the positives first. Caleb Plant, great hand speed, very good jab, very sneaky, deceptive jab, brings it up from low, right there. Brings it up. Very deceptive jab, high boxing IQ, very good stamina. I have to confirm one of the comments that I read that said that he ran a 5K marathon backwards, or 5 miles backwards, or something like that, something stupid, um, and completed it. So I don't think that his stamina will be an issue. What I'm concerned about is his level of competition. Now, you look back at Caleb Plant's level of competition. I'm looking at his box rec. I don't see any really notable names on here besides the fighter that he won the belt from originally, the IBF belt. And that was Jose. I excuse me if I butcher your name. Uskatagi. Jose Uskatagi won that back in January 13th, 2019. Now, this was a belt, the IBF belt, that James DeGale vacated. He was set up to fight, not Uskatagi. Uh, it might have been Billy Joe Saunders. I don't remember. He was set up to fight somebody, and he vacated the belt. And that was coming off of DeGale's loss, or very tough. Yeah, DeGale had a very tough fight against. Ooh, ooh. Oh, Caleb Truax. He lost to Truax, and then he came back and beat Truax in the rematch. And after that fight, and he struggled too. Truax, solid fighter, but not a elite level fighter. I'll put it like that. And DeGale struggled. I mean, he earned a victory, but he struggled. And that seemed like maybe that might have been the beginning of the decline. Maybe DeGale himself started to see that, and he was supposed to have a mandatory, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna move up and wait. I'm gonna look for a bigger fight." So he didn't take it. So he vacated the belt. Who's got the gi? Uh, got won that belt, and then he fought Caleb Plant. And Caleb Plant was able to come in against a guy who was a big, strong fighter in Uzcategui and knocked him down 2 or 3 times in that fight and ended up winning by unanimous decision. And he he controlled that fight all the way through. It was a great win. But outside of that, I don't really see many like top caliber top tier names on his resume. The only guy I can kind of say was a very experienced fighter was Caleb Truax, but Caleb Truax is not an elite fighter. Very good fighter, but not an elite fighter. So I don't see what has prepared him for a step up in competition like a Canelo Alvarez. I would have loved to have seen Caleb Plant fight Caleb Smith. Now that would have been a good challenge and would have been a chance for him to sharpen steel with steel. But now he's taking a very big step up against Canelo. Canelo's been under the bright lights. He's fought in the Mayweathers. He's fought in the Austin Trouts. He's fought in the Danny Lars, the Triple G's, the Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, the list goes on. And really, regardless of what you think about Canelo as a fighter, whether he won those fights or lost some of them, what you think of him outside of the ring, you can't deny that he's been in the ring with the best of the best. He fights them all, man. So he's ready, but Caleb Plant, he looks ready too. Now, I'll just go briefly down the list of attributes and where I think the advantage lies for each guy. When it comes to speed, I give the edge to Caleb Plant, but only slightly. I think that Canelo's speed is underestimated, and I think Caleb is going to be surprised that Canelo is not as slow as he perceived him to be. That's what I think. I think he'll still be faster than him, but he's going to be shocked that he's not that gap is not as wide as he anticipated. Power, Canelo. Caleb Plant, solid power. I think he can land a solid punch and hurt you if you don't see it coming. But Canelo, he he can crack. Canelo can crack. He's shown that. I'll give power. That's to Canelo. Boxing IQ, Caleb Plant's IQ is high, but I give that IQ to Canelo because he's been in the ring with so many different styles. Guys that are taller than him, longer than him, guys that have had more experience than him. And even in the fights that he's lost, he's taken little bits and pieces from those fights and incorporated those into his own style. So there's nothing under the sun that he hasn't seen. Whereas I can't say the same for Caleb Plant. So I have to get the advantage to Canelo there, especially after the Triple G fight. So it's really, in my opinion, preparing him for everything that was going to come after. So that edge I give to Canelo. Fourth would be ring generalship. Again, I would have to give the edge to Canelo because he's shown it time and time again against high level opposition. And even when he was outwitted, it was only because he was against like really top level competition, like an Arislani Lara or Floyd Mayweather. And maybe at that time he wasn't able to control the ring with those guys, but now if he was to fight them again, it might not be the same result. I think that Canelo would have the advantage. So I give the ring generalship, that's Canelo. So that's 3-1 to Canelo right now. And then lastly, but not least, the X factor. Again, personally, I give it to Canelo because from what I've seen, he, no matter how much you're tagging him up, no matter how much you seem to maybe have him at distance, he doesn't get flustered. He doesn't get flustered. That's a very rare skill to have. Same thing with like a Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather. Like if you remember the Mayweather fight against Zab Judah. Zab Judah was beating him to the jab early, and he at one point beat him to the jab and knocked him down. And it should have been a knockdown, but he didn't get flustered. He went back to his corner, made the adjustments, and came out and started slowly breaking down Zab Judah. And that's the same thing that you see Canelo doing against a lot of these opponents. He'll take a snapshot, go to the corner, and slowly put together plan C, D, and E when plans A and B don't work. And that's what great fighters do. I think that Canelo has a plan A through F. I don't know if Caleb Plant has a plan beyond A, B, C. Right? I don't know if he has D, E, F. That's my opinion. So X factor, I give that to Canelo. So overall, I think that Canelo is going to win this fight by stoppage in round 8. That's my opinion. I like both fighters. I like Canelo, even though there's certain things about him that I don't like. There are a lot of things that I do. I just try to call it straight across the board and be fair and as unbiased as possible. So I call out bull crap with him when I see it. It's not hate. It's just being able to hold everybody accountable, whether you are emotionally invested in that fighter or not. And I like Caleb as well, but I just don't think he's had the experience to know how to handle this level of opponent this soon. I think maybe if he had one or two opponents, like step up opponents before Canelo, then he would be better off. I had that same feeling as I did when Canelo fought Floyd. Floyd was in his prime. Canelo was 23, coming down in weight to a weight where he wasn't comfortable at, so he was drained already, and he just didn't have the experience and know-how to realize that he wasn't in the condition to fight at that low of a weight, and he just hadn't had enough fights against a caliber of opponent like Floyd, where he knew all the little tricks of the trade, so to speak. A great boxer, like a by the textbook, but he didn't know, like, you know how you know the main highways, but you don't know all the side streets yet. That's the best way I can put it. He was a green fighter at that point, even though he was a very highly skilled, highly technical fighter. And that's the way that I see Caleb playing right now. Very highly skilled, highly technical, but I don't think he's been around the back roads enough to be able to outmaneuver Canelo when they come to a stalemate and Canelo comes out with another move. I don't know if Caleb Plant has necessarily seen moves. He's seen moves A, B, and C, but I don't know if he's seen moves D, E, F, and G. That's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna go with Canelo by stoppage in the 9th round. That's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think. Fights gonna be coming up soon enough. Showtime pay-per-view. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But that's my thoughts on it. And then, unfortunately, I mentioned in the last video, Rolly Romero, he got pulled out of the fight against Tank Davis, because of the domestic charges against Rolly, which is, like I said before, can we have due process before just like making rash decisions? Are we guilty until proven innocent now? Who knows? Maybe that's the world we're living in. But that's what it is. Tomorrow I'll be putting out a quick prediction video, my picks for the NFL, and talking about the Eagles and the Raiders. I mean, look, I don't even want to talk about the Raiders again at this point. It's just like everything going on with Ruggs, and then John Gruden and blah blah blah. It's just so much. But somehow we're still sitting at 5-2 atop the division. How the hell that happened? I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna stay there. Hopefully we can. But that's it for now. Let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna post this up on my YouTube channel. Make sure you go over there, Gen Music 856, the playlist, Gen Music. Uh, I mean, Gen Sports Corner. But yeah, go to Gen Music 856. Click the subscribe button. Tap that notification bell so you can get notified everything that I drop. Yeah, we're gonna be active. We're gonna be busy. And that's it. I'm gonna catch y'all next time. Be safe, have fun, enjoy your Sunday, your Saturday, and I'll catch y'all after the fights. Ciao.